Hello everyone, I am Amit Maru and today in this video we will have a demo on AWS autoscaling. In last video we discussed about what is exactly the autoscaling concept is, and we discussed about horizontal scaling, vertical scaling, scale out and scale in with example. So now I hope concept about the autoscaling is cleared and now you are able to implement it. And I am sure that this video will be very interesting because in our today's video I will show you how autoscaling works in AWS with real-time example. So let's quickly move on AWS console. So now let us start our AWS Management Console, and for that you have to type aws.amazon.com and then you have to click on sign in to the console. Then you have to sign in with your valid ID and password. Then you will get this console, that is AWS Management Console. In that you have to select first region. I already selected Asia specific Mumbai region. You can select any region and then you have to click on service. Inside the service there are multiple domains available, and among that you have to select compute domain. Inside the compute domain there is one option that is EC2. You have to just click on that because our autoscaling is available inside the EC2. Now once you click on EC2, at that time you can get first EC2 dashboard. Here you can get idea about your previous instance. For example, how many instances are running, elastic IPs, key pairs, security groups, etc. You just scroll down and at the end you will have one option that is autoscaling. So this is autoscaling. In that two parts are there. One is launch configuration and second one is autoscaling group. This both we will discuss in detail. First of all, you have to click on launch configuration. Once we click on launch configuration, then you have one option that is create launch configuration. You can click here or you can click here also. Both are same. You just click on create a launch configuration. Once you click on create launch configuration, at that time you have to read this line. Instead of using launch configuration to create your EC2 autoscaling group, we recommended that you use launch template to make sure that you are getting the latest features from the EC2. It means that our AWS is recommending that we have to use launch template instead of launch configuration to create our autoscaling group so that we can get the latest features from the EC2. So let us follow it and let us create a template first. You have to just click on launch template. Once you click on launch template, then you will have another option that is create launch template. You just click on create a launch template. Then after you have to provide all the information about the template. So the first information, that is a name of the template. You can give any name. For example, here I am giving name that is autoscaling. Autoscaling is a name of our template. Then you can give description of version. So you have to just provide template version description here. I'm not going to change it. I'm just writing same autoscaling here. Then after autoscaling guidance, if you want autoscaling guidance, then you can check here. Then next one is template tags. We can provide maximum 50 different tags. For example, I am providing one tag that is a name, and value, for example, value is same autoscaling I am giving here. You can give maximum 50 different tags. Next option, that is a source template. If we already have one template or already one template exists, you can select it and you can go further. But right now I am not having any template, so I have to skip it. Next one, that is launch template contents. In that first one, that is we have to select Amazon machine image. So which kind of server you want? For example, I want a Linux server, then I have to select one Linux server. If I want a Windows server, then I have to select one Windows server. And this kind of server will be automatically added whenever demand of our application is high. So for example, I am selecting here Windows 2019 base. This is Microsoft Windows 2019 base. I am selecting as a one server. Then after we have to provide instance type. As we already discussed, we have only one option which is a free tier eligible, that is our T2.micro. We have to select it. In T2.micro we have one CPU and 1 GB memory. Second option, that is key pair. What is key pair? We already discussed in our past video. if we already have one key pair, you can directly select it. Otherwise we can create new key pair. For example, I am creating new key pair, and our new key pair is auto scaling demo. For example, you can give any name here and just click on create key pair. Once you click it, then you will have auto scaling demo.pem file. You have to just save this key pair anywhere, because this key pair is very much important to access our server. So I am just storing in our F drive. You can store anywhere, and remember where we have stored our key pair. Next one is network setting. In that, first option is VPC and second one is EC2 classic. You can select any. I'm going to select default one, so I'm not going to change it. Next one is we can provide a subnet information. Here we can, as you already know, that subnet is nothing but availability zone. We already selected region, that is Mumbai region, and in Mumbai region we have a three different availability zone. One is AP South 1C, second one is AP South 1B, and AP South 1A. You can select any availability zone, but right now I am not going to select any. Now next one is a firewall. It is nothing but a security group. It is basically used to add different rules to allow specific traffic to reach our instance. So basically we have a two option. One is select existing security group, or we can create our new security group also. So if one security group already exists, then you can directly select it, but if it is not available, then we can create new security group. So let us make a new security group right now. So you have to just click here, create a security group. Then you have to provide a name of a security group. For example, I am giving auto scaling as a security group name, and here you can give a description. So I'm just writing same in a description, that is auto scaling security. Then we have to select VPC. So default VPC is already available, so we are just selecting same. Next one is inbound security group rules. As we discussed, we can add different rule. So let us add some rule. For example, if you want to add some rule, then you have to click here, add security group rule. You just click on that, then you can add different rules. So for example, I am adding one rule. So I am just adding RDP. So I'm selecting RDP, and source type we are considering anywhere, so that we can access our server from anywhere. This is the protocol, that is TCP, and the port range is 3389, and the resource type is anywhere, so that we can access from anywhere. You can add a multiple rule also. For example, I'm adding HTTP and HTTPS. So next one is for example, I'm adding HTTP. Then again it can be accessed from the anywhere, so that we have to select source type as a anywhere. TCP protocol and port range is 80. Add another rule, for example HTTPS. So I'm selecting HTTPS. So the protocol is TCP and the range is 443, and the source type is anywhere. So in this way you can add different rules. Then storage volume. So by default 30 GB is available. I'm not going to add any volume because I am using free tier account. Next one is resource tag. You can add different resource tag also, and maximum 50 tags you can add. Right now I'm not adding any tags. And then network interface. I'm using default network interface. You can add a network interface also. Now next one is advanced detail. You just click on that, then you can get different option. For example, request port instance. What is exactly port instance? If you wish to know, then you have to just click on information and click learn more. Then you can get about what is exactly the spot instance and what is benefit if we select spot instance. A spot instance is an unused EC2 instance that is available for less than the on-demand price, because spot instance enable you to request unused EC2 instances at a steep discount. You can lower your Amazon EC2 cost significantly. Another thing you need to read here, spot instances are cost effective choice if you can be flexible about when your application run and if your application can be interrupted. For example, it is well suited for data analytics, batch jobs, background processing, and optional task. So this is importance of a spot instance. If you wish to give request for the spot instance, then you have to click here. Next one is AMI instance profile. Also you can set shutdown behavior. You can set whether it is stop or terminate. Whenever your operating system is on shutdown state, at that time will stop the EC2 or will terminate the EC2, that you can select. Second one is hibernate behavior. You can enable or disable as per your choice. So the second one is termination protection. Once you enable this termination protection, it means that nobody can terminate your instance. It means that we can save our instance from the accidental termination. Second one is detailed cloud watch monitoring. If you wish cloud watch monitoring, then you can enable it. Same way elastic CPU credit specification, and there are many other options available. These all are the optional. You can select as per your requirement and then click on create launch template. Once you click on create a launch template, then you can get this message, that is success and successfully created auto scaling template. Now you have to just scroll down. At the end you will have one option, that is view launch template. You just click on that. Then you can get information about your template. For example, template ID. Then after template name is auto scaling, default version, latest version, create time, and created by. So this all the information is available about our template. Now our next step is we have to just scroll down. At the end we have another option, that is auto scaling group. You just click on auto scaling group. Now once you click on auto scaling group, at that time you will have another option, that is create auto scaling group. You just click on that. Once you click on auto scaling group, then the first option, that is auto scaling group name. You can give any name here. For example, I am providing demo auto scaling. It is the name of auto scaling group. Then launch template. We already launched one template, so you just select it. Auto scaling is a name of our template. You just select it, and then you will have all the information what we already given in our template. So these all are the different information what we already given during our template creation. You just verify it and then click on next. Once you click on next, at that time the first, that is a instance purchase option that we need to select. We have two options. One is either a launch template, and second one is combined purchase options and instance types. So I'm not going to change. By default whatever selected, that is our either to launch template, I am selecting as it is. Next one is a network. In that by default a VPC already selected. I'm not going to change it. We can create a VPC also, but right now I'm not going to change it. Subnet, as we already discussed, it is availability zone. You can select any availability zone where our instance will be stored. For example, I am selecting all the availability zone. This is the first availability zone. Then you can select second one. Then you can select third one. So this is the for the best practice. We can select all the availability zone where our instance will be stored. Then we have to click on next. Now third step, that is a configure advanced option. In that first one is load balancing. We have a three option here. First one is no load balancer. Second one is attached to an existing load balancer. If we have already load balancer, at that time you can attach this load balancer here. Or last option, that is attached to a new load balancer. If you want to create new load balancer, you can create here. You just click on that and provide all the information about the load balancer. So once we click on attach to a new load balancer, then first option, that which kind of load balancer you want. So we have a two type. One is application load balancer and second one is network load balancer. For example, I am selecting application load balancer. Then after we have to provide load balancer name. So here for example, load balancer name is demo auto scaling 1. Then we have to select a load balancer scheme. One is internal and second one is internet facing. So for example, I am not going to change it. I am selecting whatever the default given. Then after VPC, we already selected the default VPC. Then availability zones, we already selected all the zones, that is South 1C, 1B and 1A. Now next one, that is listener and routing. Protocol is HTTP, port is 80 and default routing forward to. For example, I am selecting demo HTTP here. Then after next one, that is add tag. As we already discussed, here also we can select maximum 50 different tags. Now next one, that is a health check. We already discussed about health check in our previous video. And by default 300 seconds given. It means that every 300 seconds we'll check the health of our EC2 instance. If the health of EC2 instance is not good or our instance is suppose not responding, then we'll replace our instance with our new instance. Next one is additional setting. It is again optional. And the last, that is enable group matrix collection with a cloud watch. If you want to provide cloud watch, then you just click here, otherwise no need to check. Then click on next. Now next type, that is a configure group size and scaling policy. In that we can decide a group size, and inside the group size we have a three option. One is desired capacity, second one is minimum capacity, and third one is maximum capacity. So we already discussed about what is minimum and maximum capacity. Minimum capacity says that what is your minimum number of instance required, and maximum capacity says that whenever demand increases, at that time how many maximum number of instance will be created. Then what is desired capacity here? If we select, for example, desired capacity is 1, it means that initially we'll create only one instance. For example, if we select desired capacity is equal to 2, then automatically we'll initially create 2 instance, and minimum capacity will be 1. So minimum will be 1 instance and maximum will be, for example, 4 instance. So maximum 4 instance will be created. So as we discussed, this scaling, auto scaling is basically used to increase and decrease number of instance as per the demand. So initially we can say 2 instance will be created, and then will be decreased minimum up to the 1 instance and maximum increase up to the 4 instance. So our scaling will be in between 1 to 4. Now you have to just scroll down, and here you can see our next option, that is a scaling policy. The scaling policy is very much important because basic concept of auto scaling is whenever demand increase, at that time number of instance will be automatically increase, and whenever the demand decrease, at that time number of instance will be automatically decrease. But how it is possible, on which condition our instance will automatically created or added, that we have to set in our scaling policy. So now in scaling policy we have first two options. One is a target tracking scaling policy, and second one is none. So if you want to give target tracking policy, at that time you have to select it, and you have to first give scaling policy name. So for example, I am not going to change it. The name of scaling policy is target tracking policy. Next one is matrix type. This is very much important because based on this matrix type will automatically increase number of instances and will decrease number of instances. See here, the first one is average CPU utilization, second one is average network in, average network out, and the last option, that is application load balancer request count per target. So for example, if you want to set average CPU utilization, it means that based on the CPU utilization will automatically increase number of instances and number of decrease number of instances. Second one is, for example, average network in. It means that we'll check in traffic of the network, and based on that will increase number of instances or decrease number of instances. Then next option, that is network out. In that we'll check the out traffic, and based on that will increase and decrease number of instances. And last one, that is application load balancer request count per target, and based on that will increase number of instance and will decrease number of instance. So for example, I am taking option that is our average CPU utilization. So based on the utilization of the CPU, I want to add number of instance or I want to reduce number of instance. So for example, I am selecting matrix type, that is average CPU utilization. Our next, that is our target value. Here we have to set target value. For example, by default 50 is given. It means that whenever the CPU utilization is below 50%, at that time will not add any instance, but whenever it is more than 50%, at that time we'll add number of instances. So here we can set target. If you want to give, for example, 70, it means that whenever the CPU utilization of our current instance is more than the 70%, at that time we'll add number of instances, or one more instance will be added. So here you can select a target. For example, here I am selecting 70%. Now next one is instance is need. It is nothing but our warm-up time. So by default, a warm-up time is 300. But first of all, you have to understand what is exactly the warm-up time is. As we already discussed, that we have to set here target value. For example, we have set 70. It means that whenever the 70% utilization of the CPU is done, then we'll add one more instance. But we'll not directly add one more instance. Before that, we'll wait for the 300 second. If for the 300 second our CPU utilization is 70% or more than 70%, then and then we'll add new instance, and it is simply known as warm-up time. You can set warm-up time any. For example, I am setting a warm-up time that is 50 second only. Now next one is disable scale in to create only a scale out policy. If you want to continue with only scale out policy, then you have to just check here. So we'll continue with the scale out policy. There is no any scale in policy will be added. But for example, I want a scale in and scale out both the policy. At that time we have to continue with the same. Now next one, that is instance scale in protection. If the protect from the scale in is enabled, the newly launched instance will be protected from scale in by default. So if you want to enable it, you can check here. Otherwise you can continue with the next step. You just click on next step. Now once we click on next, at that time you will have a next tab, that is add notification. For example, if you want to get notification whenever instance automatically created or terminated, then you can follow this step. Otherwise click on next, then click again next. Now last step, that is a review. You just verify all the steps and then click on create auto scaling group. Now we have to wait until we have a auto scaling group. Once auto scaling group successfully created, then you will get this message like demo auto scaling, one load balancer, one listener created successfully, one new target group has been attached to ASG, that is our auto scaling group. It means that our auto scaling group is now ready and successfully created. And here you can get all the information about our auto scaling group. So here you can see that we have set different three values. One is desired capacity, that is 2, minimum capacity, that is 1, and maximum capacity is equal to 4. It means that here desired capacity is equal to 2. It indicates that this auto scaling group will automatically create 2 different instances initially, and then after EC2 instance will be automatically scale in and scale out in between 1 to 4 whenever the CPU utilization will reach up to the 70%, right? So let us check whether this is true or not, and for that we have to click on instances. Once you click on instances, at that time we have to verify whether 2 instance has been created or not, because our desired capacity is equal to 2. So there must be 2 instance. So now here you can see that 2 instance has been created, and you have to just check the status. Here the status of our first instance is 2x2 checks. It means that our first instance is ready. But here the status check of our second instance is initializing. It means that we have to wait until the status check is 2x2. Once it is 2x2 checks, it means that our both instances are now ready. So we have to just refresh it. So now you can see that our status check of our both the instances are 2x2 checks. It means that both the instances are now ready. Just give name of both the instance. For example, I am giving name of our first instance is server 1 and then save, and give name of our second instance, for example server 2. So now both the servers are now ready. So now let us connect one by one both the server. So you have to just click on connect, then click on RDP client, then download remote desktop file, and you have to decrypt the password. For that you have to click on get password, and as you know that our key pair name is autoscaling demo, you have to browse it and then click on decrypt password. Once you click on decrypt password, then you can get one password. Using this password we can log in on our server. So you have to just open our remote desktop file and click on connect, and then you have to paste the password and then click on OK. Then again click on yes. So this is our server number 1. This is our first server. This is our Windows 2019 server. Now let us check CPU utilization of our server number 1, and for that you have to click on the right button of our mouse and then click on task manager, and here you can see utilization of our CPU of our server number 1. This is a CPU utilization of our server number 1. This is a 4%, 5%, like that. Now just minimize it, and let us open our server number 2. Let us connect our server number 2. Now to connect our server number 2, we have to select it and then click on connect. Again same step we need to perform. You have to just click on RDP, download remote desktop file, and then decrypt password. For that you have to click on get password, and then browse autoscaling demo key. You have to just browse it, and then you will get password. For that you have to click on decrypt password, then you will get one password. Using this password we can access our server number 2, and for that you have to open server number 2. You just click on connect, then paste our password and then click on OK. Then again click on yes. So this is our server number 2. So let us check CPU utilization of our server number 2. Again for that you have to click on right button of our mouse, then after task manager. So here you can see the CPU utilization of our server number 2. This is the CPU utilization. Now minimize this server number 2. Now our next step is verification of our autoscaling group, whether our autoscaling group is working or not. And for that we have to increase CPU utilization of our server, because as per the policy of our autoscaling group, whenever the CPU utilization of our server will reach up to the 70%, at that time will automatically create one new instance. So whether will automatically create a new instance or not, that we need to verify, and for that we have to increase CPU utilization of our both the server. Now the question is how we can increase CPU utilization of the server. So let us discuss how we can increase CPU utilization of our server, and for that you have to open one notepad file and write this code in notepad file. For example, @echo of, then label, that is loop, then go to statement we have to use, and label is loop. You have to just write this code and then save this file as a batch file. So you have to just change the extension. You have to just click on all files and then give any name, for example xyz.batch. So xyz.bat and then save. And here you can say this is our xyz.batch file is available. You have to just copy it and paste on one server. So I am just pasting on our server number 1, and you have to just click on this file. You have to just run this file. Again you have to run this file 2 or 3 times. You have to just run this file, and you have to just verify the CPU utilization of our server. Now you can see the CPU utilization of our server is reached up to the 100%. Same way you have to just minimize it, copy this file and then paste on our server number 2. So this is our second server. You have to just paste here and then run this file. Again run this file. Again run this file. And here you can see the CPU utilization is reached up to the 100%. Now you can see that in both the server our CPU utilization is 100%, and as per our auto scaling group policy, whenever it reaches up to the 70%, at that time we'll automatically create one instance. So let us check whether instance has been created or not. So you have to just minimize it and then check on our AWS console. You have to just refresh it. So here you can see that our third instance is now initializing. Our third instance is now going to create, because the CPU utilization of our both the server is more than 70%. So in this way we'll automatically create number of instances. You just refresh it. Now the 3 different server is now available. Same way you have to just give name of this server, that is server number 3. Save it and connect. Just click on client, then download in a remote desktop file, decrypt password. Just click on get password, then browse our auto scaling demo key pair, and then click on decrypt password. So this is our password. Using that we will access our server. Just open our server. This is our server number 3. Just click on connect, then paste our password and then click on OK. Click on yes. So this is our server number 3. You have to just minimize it, copy our batch file here, again xyz batch file that you need to copy and paste on our server number 3, and paste our batch file here. Now run again this batch file. Now run this batch file 5 or 6 times on our server. And then you have to just minimize it. Again open our console and check how many instances has been created. Just click on dashboard. Just click on running instances and you just refresh it. We have to wait because our warm-up time is 50 seconds. So after 50 seconds you have to refresh it and verify whether our instance has been created or not. So now again you can see that automatically our fourth instance has been added and it is initializing. So it is now going to create. So this is the basic concept of our auto scaling. So whenever the demand is high, at that time we'll automatically add more and more server. So in this example we have seen that whenever the CPU utilization is more than the 70%, at that time this auto scaling group will automatically add one new server. So we have seen that we have initially created two server, then after we have increased the CPU utilization of both the server, so that our group auto scaling group has automatically added one more server. Then after again we have increased the CPU utilization of our server number 3, then fourth server has been automatically added, and this is the basic use of our auto scaling group. You just refresh it, then you can see all the four servers will be ready. So you can see here all the four server will be ready. So this is all about what is exactly the auto scaling and the use of auto scaling. So thank you very much for watching this video. Thank you again.